Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah الذي ألف بالإسلام بين قلوب المؤمنين وأوجب الاتحاد وحرم التفرق في كتابه المبين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله هدى من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد رسول الله خير داع إلى طريق القويم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الذين تحببت نفوسهم وتهبت قلوبهم فكانوا سادة المنصورين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته. That is, all praise is due to Allah, who has united the hearts of the believer in Islam and has made it an obligation to remain united, and has made it forbidden to become separated in His clear book. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, who guides to the straight path whom He wills, and I bear witness that our leader Muhammad is His messenger and the best caller to the way that is straight. O Allah, send your prayers and your peace upon our leader Muhammad and upon his family and upon his companions, whose hearts were united and whose souls were educated, so that they became victorious leaders. And what follows thereafter, O believers of Allah, I advise you as well as I advise myself to first have the proper regard for Allah and thereafter be obedient to Him. Dear believers, I greet you with the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. This week, inshallah, God willing, we would like to discuss the attribute of Al-Khabeer, or the All-Acquainted, the well-acquainted. And this attribute of Allah discusses his access to knowledge or information, how He knows all the things that are happening, will happen, and have happened. So there's a verse in the Quran that says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim." Praise be to Allah, to whom belong all the things in the heavens and the earth. To Him be the praise in the hereafter. And He is full of wisdom, acquainted with all things. In this verse, dear believers, it is saying that everything in the heavens and earth belong to Allah. Everything belongs to Allah. And even in the next life, when we look at the idea of the heavens and the earth, this is a present thing. This is something that can be experienced in the present. We know our time here on the earth, our experiences here on the earth, the things that we're doing, the things that we're seeing, the environment that we're experiencing is present. And as He talks about the heavens, as we start thinking about looking into the sky and seeing these different bodies, different galaxies, these spaceships and satellites going out and looking very far into space, into the heavens, all these things that we have no idea what they are. We had no concept that they existed even years ago. And all that we can do is see specks of dots, specks of light from where we are, but not knowing what could be out there. Allah says that to Him belongs all the things in the heavens and on earth. So all those things that we're just now able to see, this light that has traveled so many millions of billions of light years to reach us, that we're just now being able to see, Allah owns those things. Allah is in control of those things. They belong to our Creator. And so He has knowledge, He has wisdom. So that's this present concept of life. And then the verse goes on to say that to Him be the praise in the hereafter. So in the next life, the life after we pass away, after we're no longer here on earth experiencing everything that is in it, being able to look into the skies and see the stars and the planets and the galaxies, all those things that we can see and experience in this life, Allah says that He receives praise in the next life. So this shows us that Allah spans this concept of time. Like our concept of time or life does not equate to what Allah is or can even be conceptualized as. So his information, his acquaintance with things, his knowledge of things spans this present life, everything from the number of blades of grass to the leaves that fall, to the children that women bear, to the stars, their number, the planet, the galaxies, their number, the different things that may be out there. All these things, Allah's information, Allah is acquainted with all these things. He said he's full of wisdom, acquainted with all things. So it's not a situation where there's something that Allah may miss. There's something that Allah does not have an understanding of. There's something that can fool Allah, or that can go on without his knowledge, that can go on without his awareness. Not in this life and not in the next, because Allah still receives praise in the next life. So he's acquainted of that. He's acquainted to that. He's acquainted with this praise that he receives in the next life. So there's a different level of knowledge or understanding that has to be had in order for our Creator, in order for Allah Al-Khabeer, the all-acquainted or the well-acquainted, to have knowledge of the thoughts, have knowledge of the praise that is being given to him in the next life. We have no concept of what the next life is. We have no concept of what it may be. We can hear stories. We can hear particular verses that may allude to certain attributes or certain things that we may experience in the next life. But these things we have no knowledge of. But Allah knows of the praise that is given to him in the next. Allah knows everything that is going on in this life, in this aspect of creation that we are experiencing. He's acquainted with all things. So then we have to think, dear believers, about ourselves. We have to think about those times when we feel alone. Those times when we feel like no one is there for us, that no one cares of us, no one knows our situation, no one knows the things that we are experiencing, that no one knows all those things that are happening to us. Allah is Al-Khabeer. Allah is acquainted with all things. Allah is acquainted with your situation. Allah is acquainted with how you feel inside, the things you express and the things that you keep to yourself. Allah knows all. He is full of wisdom. To him belong all things on the heavens, in the heavens and on the earth. أقول قولي وأستغفر لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Dear believers, Allah is acquainted with all things. So as we go through our life and we find ourselves sad, or we find ourselves depressed, we find ourselves thinking that we're alone and there's no one or nothing that we can turn to, because no one knows our situation. No one knows our pain. No one knows our fears. No one knows our insecurities. We have to remember that Allah knows everything. Allah is acquainted with all things. He is acquainted with who you are inside, that good person that you are, that maybe no one else sees. Allah is acquainted with those experiences you had growing up as a child, how people treated you, how they may have neglected you, how they may have loved you. Allah is acquainted with these things. So he knows all the things that make up your personality. He knows all the things that affect you and how they may affect you. Allah is acquainted with these things. He knows how you respond to. He knows how you want to respond to things, but you don't. Allah is acquainted with all things. Al-Khabeer. So let's not think that understanding is beyond our Creator. Understanding our creation, our situation, or our condition is beyond our Creator. Let's make sure that we keep in mind that Allah is Al-Khabeer and He understands us. He is acquainted with us. He's acquainted with our situation, every single thing about us. And since He's acquainted with us, He's acquainted with our condition, our situation, our thought process, the way we interact, the way we carry ourselves, then that means that we can turn to Him. That means that we can turn to our Creator because He knows us. He is acquainted with all things. To Him belongs the heavens and the earth, everything that's in it. So if these things belong to Him, and He is acquainted with the number of stars, He's acquainted with the rain that falls, He's acquainted with the number of leaves that fall, He is acquainted with what women hold in their bellies, He's acquainted with the hereafter. He is also acquainted with us. He also knows us. So let's not keep ourselves from our Creator. Let's not keep ourselves from turning to our Creator and asking for help. They're asking for guidance, asking for an inspiration, asking for something that's going to better our lives. You don't have to suffer and go through these things alone, dear believers. You may feel that you're alone. You may feel that no one is there for you, but your Creator is. Your Creator has always been there. Your Creator will always be there. So let's give Allah His proper regard. Let's have the proper regard for Allah. Let's treat Allah as He is. Al-Khabeer. He is the all-acquainted, the well-acquainted. So He knows us. He knows our condition. So let's turn to Him and ask Him for hope. Let's turn to Him and ask Him for guidance, for help working through these situations that we seem to think may be impossible, that those around us can't quite understand. Let's turn to our Creator, dear. Let's turn to Allah and ask Him to guide us. And let's give Him the praise. Let's give Him the praise for being there for us. Dear believers, Allah is Al-Khabeer, the well-acquainted. أقول قول أستغفر لي ولكم الحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له، بذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين.